Two former intelligence officials and a congressional source tell my colleagues Pamela, Dana, and I that Russian government officials discuss having potentially derogatory information about then presidential candidate Donald Trump and some of his top aides. This in conversations intercepted by U.S. intelligence during the 2016 election. One source described the information as financial in nature. It said the discussion centered around whether the Russians had leverage with Trump's inner circle. The source says the intercepted communication suggested to U.S. intelligence that Russians believe they had the ability to influence the administration through the derogatory information. Now, I should add the sources privy to the descriptions of the communications written by U.S. intelligence cautioned that the Russian claims to each other could have been exaggerated or even made up. The details of the communication shed new light on information U.S. intelligence received about Russian claims of influence. The contents of the conversations made clear to U.S. officials that Russia was considering ways to influence the election, even if their claims turned out to be false. As CNN first reported, the U.S. intercepted discussions of Russian officials bragging about cultivating relationship with Trump campaign aides, including Trump's first national security advisor, Michael Flynn, to influence Trump himself. Following CNN's report, the New York Times said that Trump's campaign chairman, Paul Manafort, was also discussed.
All right, Jim, so very tantalizing headline. Do we know anything about who the Russians were talking about specifically in terms of who were around Trump they might be able to influence or who they were working?
That's right. Well, beyond Trump himself, none of the sources would say which specific Trump aides were discussed. One of the officials said the intelligence report masked the American names, but it was clear the conversations revolved around the Trump campaign team. Another source would not give more specifics, citing the classified nature of the information involved. This is yet another round of false and unverified claims. I should say we reached out to the White House for comment, and just overnight got this answer. Quote, "This is yet another round of false and unverified claims made by anonymous sources to smear the president. The reality is a review of the president's income from the last 10 years showed that he had virtually no financial ties at all. There appears to be no limit to which the president's political opponents will go to perpetuate this false narrative, including illegally leaking classified material. All this, of course, does play into the hands of our adversaries, they say, and put the country at risk," end quote. We also reached out to the FBI and the Office of Director of National Intelligence. They did not have a comment. I should note that the president himself, as you're aware, has insisted on multiple occasions that he has no financial dealings with Russia.
So, Jim, is this new reporting that you have part of the current investigation?
Well, the FBI investigation into Russian meddling in the U.S. election, which, of course, was recently taken over by special counsel Robert Mueller, includes seeking answers as to whether there was any coordination with associates of Trump and examining alleged financial dealings of key Trump associates. The FBI would not comment on whether any of the claims discussed in the intercepts we've just reported have been verified. By the time Trump took office, questions about some of his aides' financial dealings with Russian entities were already under investigation. And soon after the Republican convention, Paul Manafort had already stepped aside because of questions about off-the-book payments he received consulting a pro-Putin candidate in Ukraine. This is what officials told CNN last summer. Manafort has denied he received any illicit finances. He's also denied any wrongdoing in connection with his work for Trump and foreign officials. He has offered to testify before congressional committees investigating Russia's election interference. Also, former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn is being investigated for failing to disclose payments he received from Russian entities for a trip he took to Moscow in December 2015. On that trip, you'll remember, Flynn appeared alongside President Putin at a gala in honor of the Russian state media outlet Russia Today. Flynn now faces multiple investigations for failing to disclose on his security clearance forms payments he received for that Moscow trip from Russian entities. This, in addition to questions about lobbying that he did for Turkey. Allison and Chris, there's a lot there. I'd say the key headline is these intercepts were Russians, at least Russia-to-Russia communications, claiming that they had derogatory information on both the president and the president's aides.